Everybody, I do apologize. In YouTube I didn't have the mic on. Okay, so can you hear me now? Yes, guys. Okay, so assalamu alaikum again everybody on YouTube. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil anbiya wal mursalin nabiyyina wa habibina Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam, amma ba'd. So we're going to start with juz number 10, and the theme of juz number 10 and in Surah Al-An'am is going to be the Battle of Badr. Okay, the Battle of Badr. And this is discussed. Okay, before we go into the Battle of Badr itself, there are some things that are very important that we need to know. We need to remove some misconceptions regarding jihad. Okay, and what is jihad? So, you have a greater jihad and you have a lesser jihad. And jihad means to struggle. What does jihad mean? To struggle, to strive. Okay? So when you're working hard, you call it in Arabic mujahada. Somebody is working very hard, he's struggling, he's striving, okay, putting a lot of effort in. That is known as jihad. So we have what we call a greater jihad. Okay? Hassan, no time to sleep. I know it's hot, but you don't need to sleep. Okay? Greater jihad. And that's the personal jihad, the inner struggle that every Muslim has every single day. When you wake up, your first jihad is against the evil desires that you have within yourselves. وَمِن شُرُورِ أَنفُسِنَا وَمِن سَيِّئَاتِ أَعْمَالِنَا. Okay, the evil actions, right? So shaitan comes and he will always tempt you to do a lot of haram. You know, Tasim, when you have these temptations and you get these illegal thoughts in your mind. Yeah? Okay? That's what we're discussing. So this is called a greater jihad. And as Muslims, we are striving to fulfill the 5 pillars of Islam. The 5 pillars of Islam. What are the 5 pillars of Islam? Zakir.
Hajj.
Hajj is one of them, yeah.
Ramadan.
Ramadan's one of them, yes.
Zakat. Zakat, yeah.
Zakat's one of them, yeah.
Salah.
Yeah.
Shahada.
Shahada.
Tasi said that one.
Okay. Alright, so that's okay. So also, when somebody wrongs you and you need to forgive them, you need to excuse them, and you're doing it for the sake of Allah, so you're going to swallow your pride and you're going to forgive them. This is a great jihad as well, to swallow your pride and to forgive others. Work for social justice, that's a jihad as well. Working to empower your community, working to make your community a better place, a safer place. This is known as jihad as well. So when you see somebody has dumped rubbish on the street corner, an old stinky mattress, somebody's dumped on the corner of your road, you've got some pride. Yeah, and you think, 1 second, who's done this? I am going to have rubbish in the corner of my street. So what do? You pick up the phone, you ring the council. Okay. Then you do something else. Okay? Study the Quran. This is a struggle as well. Most people, they read Quran and that's it. They think the job's done. Tasin, can we just read Quran and stop there?
No.
You need to understand what the Quran means. Do you understand? Help those who are in need. Defending the helpless. Yeah? So, we have people who are victims of domestic violence. What do? They'll go and they'll join a charity and they'll work in that field. Okay? Victims of grooming, child grooming, who are groomed at a young age. They grow up and when they realize what happened with them, then they'll go and they'll do something. So they're giving something back to the community. Have you all heard about Hugh Edwards? The BBC News report, anybody?
Oh, yeah, the BBC News report that took
Yeah.
pictures of the children.
So that a news reporter, Hugh Edwards, who broke the news to us that the Queen had died. Does anybody know what happened today with Hugh Edwards?
He's a pedophile.
He's a paedophile, yes. What happened? How many charges were brought against him?
I think he didn't take pictures of like children.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, I forgot. I
Yeah.
read the report.
G.
115 charges.
Who said 115 charges?
Sorry, three.
So 3 charges.
Oh,
Okay. How many charges?
3.
3 charges. G. I wonder if anybody's going to mention his religion.
Is he atheist or Christian?
I'm pretty much sure he's a Muslim.
Or what?
Imran Khan, how are you? Okay.
So which one?
And Mohammed Salah, you are in the class. Don't worry. You're with us. Don't worry. Hugh Edwards is not Muslim.
No, the one.
He was from a northern island.
The other one.
Yeah. But anyway, he's a paedophile. Okay, that's all you need to know. He's a paedophile, and he's been charged, and he's found guilty. Okay. Okay. He's been found guilty. Avoid negative traits such as greed and laziness. This is also a form of jihad. I struggle every single day to get rid of these habits. Okay. And then the next one is avoid temptations such as alcohol. Okay. Gina Los Angeles, welcome on board. Have some self-dignity. This isn't a place for you to be looking for a spouse for your daughter. Where is your dignity? Hang on, hey? Be serious. Where's your dignity? Don't you have any respect for your daughter? Don't you have any self-respect? That's of course if you do have a daughter. Which if you do and she finds out that you are looking for a spouse for her on TikTok on a live stream, on an Islamic live stream, then Gina Los Angeles, you will literally be dead in Los Angeles. They'll bury you alive there. Okay, if your daughter finds out, so behave yourself. This is a Iqra Academy class. We're learning about the Quran. We're learning about Islam here. Okay, we're not doing marriage. Okay, I don't want people here replying back and saying, yeah, we're interested for your daughter. Where's your self-dignity? Have some shame. Okay, so this is a greater jihad that we are having every single day, okay, against evil temptations. Okay, any questions? There's another type of jihad which is about defending Islam from threat. Okay, and whilst the majority of Muslims see that religion is, of course, a religion of peace. However, sometimes Muslims need to take arms in order to defend themselves from persecution. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If Muslims are standing up, defending their homes, their lands, if any person of any religion, of any faith, do you understand, wants to defend their religion, their home, their lands, then they have a right to do so. So jihad is for defense, and you are not allowed to initiate war. You are not allowed to initiate war. You're not allowed. You only fight where there is a need for defending the religion, or defending your lives, or defending your properties, your wealth, etc. And Allah mentions in the Quran a lot of these verses which are misquoted on jihad. And we'll do a separate lesson on this, going through all of the verses of jihad. Okay? So Allah mentions permission to fight has been given to those who are being fought because they were wronged. And indeed Allah is competent to give them victory. Allah also mentioned in the Quran, okay, that you are not allowed to go beyond the limits of what is necessary for this defense. Fight in the way of Allah those who fight against you, but do not transgress. Indeed, Allah does not like the transgressors. Okay? And at the same time, where there's an opportunity to make peace with an enemy, you must take that. If the enemy is inclined towards peace, do make peace with them and put your trust in Allah. He is the one who hears all and knows all. Wa alaikum salam. So what have you learned so far, Tahsin, from that? That you are not allowed to initiate a war.
We have to be fought in order to fight. If the enemy asks for peace, then we have to
Yeah. So it's in self-defense, and even that, there has to be proportionality.
you can't transgress.
Yeah. So just like Piers Morgan keeps asking, what is the proportionality of what's happening in Gaza? How many people? And over 40,000 people have died. The entire Gaza has been destroyed. Yeah? That's not proportionate.
I saw a clip, I don't know if it's from now or not, but it's Piers Morgan supporting the Palestinians now, is it still in the storylines?
I don't know who Piers Morgan is supporting, and I don't really care. Because what I do know is Allah is watching, and to Allah we belong, and to Allah we shall return, and every individual will be held accountable for their actions. And nobody is greater than Allah. Don't fear me, don't fear anybody else, fear Allah. Yes, carry on. No. So, as for any form of war, it must be approved by the leader, the people of authority, fought in self-defense, and not used to either convert people to Islam or gain land. That's not jihad. Jihad is not that you go to take somebody's land. Jihad is not that you force people to become Muslims. You're not allowed to do that. So jihad is self-defense. It must be approved. Okay? It's Quran, Mawheed Khan. Most of these references are from Quran. Okay? So the verses I've prayed, okay, and Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 190, Surah number 8, verse 61, okay, Surah number 22, verse 39. And there are rules in jihad. So if somebody goes on the battlefield, there are rules you have to follow. Jihad is not in a neighborhood. Jihad is not bombing a school. Jihad is not bombing a refugee camp. Jihad is not bombing a hospital. Jihad is not even bombing a disco where there's people dancing to music and they're out of their head, and you go and you shoot them and you bomb them. That is not jihad. Jihad is what's going to take place on the battlefield. Okay? Anybody who wants to be in jihad will be on that battlefield. You're not allowed to harm innocent men, women, children, animals. You're not allowed to cut off the trees. You're not allowed to poison the wells. You know, back in those days, they would poison the well, and that would be known as weapon of mass destruction. So they put poison in the well and nobody would be able to drink. It's like a nuclear bomb. They didn't have bombs then, but this was equivalent to nuclear. You poison the wells. What Islam, Muslim women issues? Yeah, we've covered that part. Okay, so G-Force Joe, we've covered the inner jihad. We're now talking about the jihad which takes place in order to defend the religion and to defend those who are being oppressed. So for example, it must be in self-defense, no harm must be done, peace must be restored, mercy must be shown. And this type of jihad, it can never be used to justify acts of terrorism. Okay? This type of jihad cannot be used for acts of terrorism. Assam, Ijaz, are you okay? Come in. Okay. Yeah. Your folder should be there, I think. So if somebody carries out a terrorist attack in which Tasin is pretending to write.
No, I'm right.
Oh, yeah. Let's sit forward. Come forward. Ijaz is here now. Ijaz will fix you. Come forward. Ijaz is my deputy.
Is everyone else?
It's hot. The weather's got to them. They're sleeping at home.
No, it's not. No.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, that terrorism, acts of terrorism in which you go around killing innocent people, okay, is not allowed in Islam. And when there is going to be a war in self-defense, it will take place where innocent people who've got absolutely nothing to do with the war, who don't want to be part of the war, will be safe. Okay, so moving on to the Battle of Badr, which was the first battle which took place in self-defense. We're going to look at some of the facts in the Battle of Badr, what happened. Okay, and this would be an exam question. One exam. This would be an exam question. So I'm going to give you some facts about the Battle of Badr. Good question. Soon. Half-year exam. Jazakallah, Brother Malinga. Brother Malinga, what's the weather in Uganda? Yeah.
So, no, nothing. I'm stretching. So, I cannot do the exam.
Why?
I got A-levels now. I'm not revising.
Okay, that's fine. We won't pressurize you. Yes, it did. Now they're panicking. Tasin saying, I can't do any more exams.
No, I got A-levels there.
Zakir, he was leaning back. He was relaxed. And as soon as said this question will come in the exam, he's quickly leaned forward. The only one who it's not had an effect on is Hassan. He's sleeping in class. Hassan's still sleeping. Yeah. He's come here to sleep. Hassan, wakey, wakey. Hassan, you're sleeping in class? What's happening? I was about to throw a bucket of water on you. You've had your little siesta nap. There's a bed in the next room. You can go and sleep. Jazakallah, Boogie Sawi. How are you? Welcome on board, Boogie Sawi. One of our students was asleep. The weather. We are on the top floor in Ikra Academy. Yeah. So in the summer, it's like a sauna. In the winter, it's like the North Pole. Yeah. So let's talk about the Battle of Badr. So the Battle of Badr, it took place in the month of Ramadan. It took place on the 17th of Ramadan, 2 years after the Prophet had migrated to Medina. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have been about 55 years old. Jazakallah. Mohit. There's plenty of good things you'll hear about Iqra Academy. Yes. Because we've got some very good volunteers here. Ijaz is one of them, of course. But I'm not going to say any more because he's in class. I don't want him to get carried away. I don't want Ijaz to get carried away. And I certainly don't want Tasin to get carried away. Yes, Tasin. Yeah. Nothing. Welcome on board, Lamish. So what's the first fact? When did the Battle of Badr take place? Huh? No, when? Not about the age.
Yeah.
I guess like 1600s.
I could go to sleep as well. The Battle of Badr took place in the 17th on the 17th of Ramadan, 2 years after migration. So the Prophet was about 55 years old. I'll come back to you on that. So it is around 70 miles from Medina, and it's about 110 miles by road to get to that place. It takes over 1 hour. Well, it takes 2 hours to reach Badr by car. How long? 2 hours. So in the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, it would have taken from Mecca. It would have taken much longer, probably a day. On a camel, a day. On a horse, half a day. Yeah. In a car, 2 hours. Okay. What was that? Go on quickly.
I get some.
Yeah. Do the kettle and get me hot water in a cup, and bring a spoon as well, please. Okay.
How are you gonna drink that?
But I need to have my caffeine.
In this way, man.
Yes, I need my coffee.
Why don't you just drink iced coffee?
No, I don't like iced coffee. I don't like iced coffee.
Why not, man?
Don't worry about it.
Ijaz, give me the Quran, please. Arabic.
They're all Arabic, Ustaji.
No, that's English. My green one's mine, yeah. Jazakallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Tasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the Noble Quran, بعد أقول أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. Three, Surah Al Imran. Yeah. وَلَقَدْ نَصَّرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So Allah mentions the battle of Badr and Badr in the Quran in several places. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the Noble Quran, وَلَقَدْ نَصَّرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ. That indeed Allah helped you at the battle of Badr when you were adillah, very weak. So be mindful of Allah so that you may be grateful. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to mention, remember when you said to the believers, will you be satisfied if your Lord reinforces you by sending down 3,000 angels? 3,000 angels. Allah goes on to mention, but if you are steadfast and mindful of Allah, your Lord will reinforce you with 5,000 swooping angels if the enemy should suddenly attack you. And Allah arranges it so, as a message of hope for you, the believers, to put your hearts at rest. Help comes only from Allah, the Mighty and the All-Wise. So in the Battle of Badr, the Muslims were outnumbered by a ratio of 1 to 3, and some said by a ratio of 1 to 4. And as for the Muslim army, who were not even ready for war, yeah, it was 313. Okay, and they were poorly equipped. And as for the Quraysh, they had over 950 well equipped. Okay.
Were they trained or not?
Yeah.
Were they trained?
No, they weren't ready. Okay. So some of the eminent companions such as Abu Bakr, Umar, Ali, Hamza, Mus'ab ibn Umair, Az-Zubair ibn Awwam, Ammar ibn Yasir and Abu Zar al-Ghafari, they took part in this battle. Uthman radiyallahu anhu was unable to take part as he was instructed by the Prophet to take care of his sick wife Ruqayyah was also the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we know that when he returned back, what happened was that the Prophet's daughter had passed away. Okay, so somebody's messaging, do you condemn the violence in Liverpool today? What's happened? I'm not aware. Can you inform me what's happened? I don't know what's happened in Liverpool. Somebody's mentioned. The stabbings by an extremist. Okay, so who's the extremist?
Oh, 17-year-old boy went on a stabbing spree, forgot how many, and the police are saying it's not related to terrorism, and that's all. I didn't read it.
So we're being told it's okay. So I don't have the information, but one of the students has said that it was somebody went on a stabbing spree.
Yeah.
Okay. The stabbings by an extremist. What kind of an extremist?
But the police are saying it's not terrorist extremist related or whatever.
No, but if somebody goes on a stabbing spree, that's terrorism. You understand?
Didn't I say that for the policeman? Remember Zoro, the stabbing spree?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Ustaji Akhtar, just tell him it's Zakir. Tell him it's Ustaji Apa's class. Apa's class. Ustaji Akhtar.
What Opal's class?
Yeah. Which Opal's class?
Which Opal's class?
He knows.
Where is he?
Right, so let's just dissect this, right? So we don't. I don't know what's happened, so I can't have. I can't tell you anything on that. Okay. So Max says this is our country. It's my country as well. I love England. I was born here. The stabbings by an extremist. Okay, that's fine. I would say he's probably a terrorist. The religion of peace strikes again in Southport. Okay. So the religion. So you're going to blame Islam and 2 billion Muslims for the action of one individual, Max. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so 8 stabbings.
Yeah, Ustaji Akhtar's coming.
And he came, but then he went.
No, that was it. On the edge.
He came and went. So bye.
No, tell him to come.
You can't because he's been outside, he's been home.
Okay, 1 second.
Yes, Dodgy. It was.
Shut up.
You go to home, okay, please.
No, I want to sit up.
Yeah,
So a 17-year-old boy,
Yeah.
8 people got stabbed. There were children in a dance class. Now the 17-year-old boy is arrested with connections to the attack and remains in custody, but it's not certain that it's him that did the stabbing,
No.
right? So the knife has been seized.
Sergeant's not there.
It was. He said that I don't know why this.
I haven't paused it to discuss it. I've got a phone call on the other line from a staff member. I'm at an academy, and if you listen carefully on the live stream, I've had somebody coming from the back telling me and asking me about that staff member. Okay, so I haven't paused it because I'm live on YouTube. So if you go on my live stream on YouTube, you will see that I've paused this to text another staff member at the academy. So no, I haven't paused it for that. So I'm going to go through these messages
Yeah.
as I'm reading. So one of my students has just informed me to what happened. Okay, so I'm presuming you've heard in the background.
It was what's it called? It was young girls that got stabbed, and it was from a dance workshop or about Taylor Swift dancing or whatever. But like, it's not certain it's the 17-year-old boy who did the stabbing. It's that he has a connection, and then a weapon was found. So the news is still like coming out. And 17-year-old boy is like race, gender, no, his race, religion, stuff like that. There's no like confirmation about that either. He's left anonymous.
Yeah, so people are just running to different conclusions.
And the YouTube, someone wants to join the academy.
Yeah, and somebody wants to be an imam as well. Subhanallah. Yeah. You took your time.
I let it boil.
Have you got Ustad Akhtar's number?
Me, yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, tell him to go to Abanagwa and say sort out the class, please.
Who's class?
He knows, I've told him. I'm not going to repeat myself. He hasn't brought my spoon.
So easy.
I'll burn my finger. It is hot. Just use this. So that's making the headlines. Just bring that bin, please.
That's not stirred, no.
Right, let me go on to the BBC and let's see.
Yes, we don't. I'm not
Where is it? Where is it?
The TikTok, Muslims page,
Oh.
some other comments.
So the headlines from the BBC: at least 8 people have suffered stab injuries at a children's dance and yoga workshop in Southport. A 17-year-old male from the nearby village of Banks has been arrested. Police say the incident is not being treated as terror related and they are not looking for anyone else. The injured were taken to 3 hospitals, including the Alder Children's Hospital in Liverpool. The Children's Hospital declared major incident, saying parents should only bring patients if it's urgent.
It's going on.
Okay,
It's going on.
okay, that's fine.
We read these comments.
So let's just listen into the BBC.
Also being offered to people in the community as well who may be affected. And Northwest Ambulance Service, as well as offering support, said their thoughts are with everyone involved, especially those who, of the 2 girls whose lives were cut short. 11 people were treated on the scene. They were taken to Old Age Hospital, Manchester Children's Hospital as well. And that's the first time that we've heard that this actually was stretching out further and further as the emergency services tried to help those that have been injured. They also went to Ormskirk General, which is a town nearby and has a small hospital A&E unit, as well as 2 other hospitals in the Merseyside area as well. And Mersey Fire and Rescue were the first people on the scene. Their fire station isn't very far at all from here, just at the end of this road.
Yeah, so,
Delete them, delete them, you can't get banned.
what is it?
How won't get that?
You can.
Must you?
Yeah.
Why?
The one that we set comments on. Those ones now.
They can get banned.
Yeah, I know when a can get banned, they just say messages like that. My can't up like that.
It's dodgy, banned for live streams.
For life.
Yeah, no, live stream. I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Stardy gets famous.
Because we needed it for July.
Okay, so,
This week.
Turn on.
Normally this, yeah.
And he's the first on.
I swear you went somewhere.
so a 17-year-old boy from the nearby village of Banks in Lancashire has been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. So, I mean, at the moment, I don't know why people have come on and quickly started blaming religion for that, because we don't even know who the individual is. No, it's not one of ours.
We didn't know the same.
Okay, yeah, so steady on. Okay, so firstly, before we start blaming others, our prayers and thoughts are with those families who've lost their young ones, and those who are critically ill and those who are fighting for their lives. Our prayers are with them. And as for these people who are coming on and blaming religion, but you're just wasting your time, because you don't even know what the facts are and you're running to conclusions. And you see, this is where now we're seeing the double standards. The people already have got no information, there's no confirmation, and they're blaming Islam, and apparently have made this. I mean, this person may well be a Muslim, we don't know. We might not. If he might be a Muslim, he's not a Muslim. But we don't know absolutely anything apart from it's a 17-year-old boy. Okay. Yes. And the second point is, why isn't this being called an act of terrorism? It is terror. You can't say, oh, it's horrific killings have taken place and murders have taken place. It's an act of terrorism. Or is it that we're waiting for the confirmation of this individual, and if it turns out that he's not a Muslim, then we'll just keep it as murder. But once it comes out that it's a Muslim, then we'll say, oh, it's an act of terrorism. All form of violence, whoever it's committed by, is a form of terrorism. That's all. It's a terrorism. This should be called terrorism outright now. What are they waiting for? Okay, it is terrorism. Of course it is. It's terrorism. What I'm saying is that we're getting some details. Okay, we don't know who the individual was apart from it's a 17-year-old boy. Okay, so we're getting some details. Okay, but we don't know for sure whether this individual is a Muslim or a Christian or an atheist, regardless of who he was. Okay, it's an act of terrorism. So why are they not calling it a terrorist attack right now? Okay, I've looked at some of the news channels. It's BBC, Sky News, Daily Mail. I've just had a quick look at these channels, and at this moment of time, they're not calling it an act of terrorism. And I believe it is an act of terrorism. And we should condemn. And we do condemn. Okay? And this is where we're not connecting it to. I'm not sitting here talking as a spokesperson for Islam or Muslims. It's crime. All crime is terrorism. So the point I'm making is, he was shouting out, Allahu Akbar, get real. Get real. Yeah. it's an act of terrorism. Whether it was committed by a Muslim, a Christian, a person of no faith, a homosexual, heterosexual, a transgender, whoever committed this terror on these innocent young children is a terrorist, and this is an act of terrorism. Confirmed by my eyewitness. Yeah. So let's wait for the details officially from the official sources. This is a Christian country, so how often do you go to church?
Every Sunday.
How often do you go to church? And let me do the talking. How often do you go to church? If this is a Christian country, how often do you go to church?
Have you heard about that £20, £20,000?
And yes, and what about jihad? What is jihad? Explain to me, football reporter. What is jihad? No, let me discuss with football reporter. I want him to educate me. What is jihad? Because I don't know what jihad is.
I'm sorry, but this one that
No, just I want this football reporter. His name's football reporter. Okay. Christian values country. Okay. So now you've changed your tone from a Christian country. It's gone to a Christian values country. How often do you go to the church? That's what I'm asking you. A straightforward question. Do you go to the church? Do you practice your religion? Okay, every weekend, that's fine. Okay.
Personally, would you actually do it?
Okay, is that in your theology? Is that how it works? You don't have to go to the church? So where do you get your knowledge from? How do you study the Bible? Under whose supervision do you study the Bible? So as I've mentioned, rather than you're never going to take this country, this is England. I know it's England. I was born here. I love England. This is my country. I love England. Am I not allowed to love England? Do I not belong here? Football reporter. Who's taken over the country? Who's taken over the country? Who? Give me evidence. What makes you think that I'm taking over the country?
No one's taking over the country.
What makes you think that I'm overtaking the country?
So I asked about the qualifications.
Thank you very much.
I saw this thing and it was Gary complaining about everybody's taking their jobs when what's it called? Gary looks like this and stuff.
Of course, I have. It's wrong. Whoever's done it, I've called out from the beginning. But I don't understand why people are jumping to the conclusion that this 17-year-old is a Muslim. We don't know who he was. Might be a person of no faith. Why are you saying it's a Muslim? Why are we waiting? And why are we not calling it for what it is? It's an act of terrorism. It's an act of terrorism.
This is the next one. It happened a couple of days ago.
He was a Somali Muslim. And where did you get that information from, JM? Okay, you know it except the news. Okay, so it's a terrorism. It's an act of terrorism. So what I would like you to do is go to some of the news channels, okay, and check if anyone has called it an act of terrorism yet. And nobody has. Nobody has. Nobody has called it an act of terrorism.
So
I mean, what are we waiting for? It's an act of terrorism. What are we waiting for? Why are we not calling it? Why are we not calling out for what it is? Why are we waiting? Right. For example, I'll read you the headline from the Daily Mail. 2 children dead, 11 people hurt in Southport knife rampage. 6 kids and 2 adults who bravely tried to protect them. Fighting for life after boy 17 launched horror attack at Taylor Swift themed dance workshop. Okay, where is mention of terrorism? There's no mention of terrorism. In fact, the main headline, if you go into the Daily Mail, is Knife Man 17 arrested, 2 children confirmed dead. Okay, so again, there's no mention of terrorism. There's no mention of terrorism. Okay, I'm calling it out as terrorism. This is terror. But my point is, why are we waiting? What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for confirmation that this individual is a Muslim and then we're going to call it an act of terrorism? Let's go to BBC News.
So you know it's not even confirmed it's a 17-year-old.
Let's go to the BBC News. Okay, BBC News headline: 2 children dead and 9 injured in stabbing attack at Southport dance class. Where is the mention of terrorism? Why are they not calling it out for what it is? It's an act of terrorism. Why are they not calling it out as terrorism? This is what I don't understand. Why the double standards? If you watched the live stream right from the beginning, the first thing I said from when I was informed of this is our prayer and thoughts are with the families of those who have lost their loved ones, and our prayers are with those who are fighting for their lives. Okay, we gave our prayers and we will pray for them. Okay, but what I don't understand is people who have come onto the live stream and have said it's Muslims and it's Islam. Where are you getting this information from? Let's go on to Sky News. Okay, Sky News. Let's see what's the headline in Sky News. Southport stabbings. Latest, boy 17 arrested after 2 children killed and 9 injured. Why are they not calling out terrorism? Why is it terror? You understand? It's an act of terrorism. Let's go to GBN News, right? They definitely probably have called it terrorism. They must have definitely called it terrorism. Yeah, GBN News. Breaking news. 2 children killed and 9 others injured in Southport stabbings with 6 in critical condition. Look at that.
Even GBN News doesn't call it terrorism.
Even GBN News haven't called it out terrorism yet. Yeah? Even GBN have not called it terrorism yet. And people are coming here and saying, oh, it's Muslims. Yet, yes. Yet. But what are we waiting for? So if here's my point. Here's my point. I want you to listen very carefully. My point here is that if the identity of this 17-year-old turns out to be a non-Muslim, okay, let's say he's a Christian, he's of no religion, okay, are we still going to stick to the same headlines? Right? Are we still going to stick to the same headlines? 2 children killed and 9 others injured. Are we going to stick to those headlines? Okay? Or are we then waiting for confirmation that it's a Muslim, and then we will call it a terrorist attack? Okay? What are we waiting for? This individual has carried out these crimes. He's a terrorist, and it's an act of terrorism. So call it out for what it is. It's an act of terrorism. And every individual who's watching live on this live stream should be calling it out for what it is. It's an act of terrorism, irrespective of who the individual was, irrespective of his religion, irrespective of his race, irrespective of his gender. It's an act of terrorism. Why are these news reports not calling it out as an act of terrorism? Why are they not calling it out as terrorism? What are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? This is what my argument is. What are they waiting for? Why have they not called it out an act of terrorism? And this is the double standards. These are double standards, I'm afraid. That if this was a Muslim, confirmed Muslim, these headlines would have been terrorism, terrorism, terrorism. But the fact that it's not, oh, we're going to call it a stabbing. We're going to call it a murder. We're going to call it killings. It's wrong. It's an act of terrorism. Irrespective of who's committed the crimes, it's terrorism. Call it out for what it is. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. And if you're speculating, why are these news channels not calling it out for what it is? I mean, even GBN News have not called it out for what it is. Okay, Football Reporter, you've been so active. Right, on this platform. So why haven't the news channels, including GBN News, called it an act of terrorism? Why haven't they called it an act of terrorism? If he is Muslim, what is your reaction to your brother? It's an act of terrorism. That's my reaction. I've said it from the beginning. I don't care about the religion, about the race, about the skin color, about the gender. It's an act of terrorism. Call it out for what it is. It's an act of terrorism. We condemn all forms of terrorism. Okay, right, so, no, I understand. So JM, I'm talking to you directly now. You're saying they can't until it's confirmed, it's the law. Okay, that's fine. We don't need to know the name of the individual who's caused this this brutal terrorist attack. We don't need to know the name. We don't need to know the gender. Okay? Why are they not calling it out to be an act of terrorism? That's all my question is. Why are they not calling it an act of terrorism?
They don't want to release the guys.
Okay. If it was a Muslim, we'd condemn him. If it's a Christian, we'd condemn him.
Go on, show me.
Okay.
What news sources?
Because they can't until MI5, MI6 confirm it. Confirm what, JN? Confirm what?
Ask for
Yeah, but the GBN News are not scared, are they? GBN News are not scared. Why have GBN News not called it an act of terrorism? Let's refresh the page. There you go. GBN News. 2 children killed and 9 others injured in Southport stabbings with 6 critical ill. Why haven't GBN not called it an act of terrorism? What are they waiting for? I'm not making excuses for anybody. I'm not making excuses for anybody. We condemn every form of violence. Okay, so this is what my argument is. And for those of you who've just come on now, we've got our evening prayer in about a few minutes, so I'm going to be going off. And let me just clarify this again. Our prayers and thoughts are with the victims, okay? Those who have lost their lives, our prayers and thoughts are with their families. And as for those who are fighting for their lives, our prayers and thoughts are with their families as well. And we pray and hope that they recover fully. The person who has been arrested, we hope and pray they lock this individual up somewhere and we never see this individual again on the face of this planet. And he deserves everything that's coming his way. My argument before I go off live stream is that why has this not been called an act of terrorism?
Well, the kids from,
Why has this not been called an act of terrorism? People saying, oh, they're not allowed to because they'll get reported by Ofcom. Why? Do you understand why? What are you waiting for? We don't need to know the gender. We don't need to know the name of this individual. Why can't we just call it an act of terrorism? I'm calling this an act of terrorism. This was an act of terrorism, irrespective of whoever this individual was, whether it's a white boy, Asian, black, whoever it was an act of terrorism. And these news channels, press and media, what you people watch and what we check our news on, should be utterly ashamed of themselves for not calling it for what it is. It's an act of terrorism. It's an act of terrorism. And I wouldn't be surprised that if the identity turns out to be a Muslim, and I want you to do this, I want you to go and do yourself, look up yourself. If the identity of this individual turns out to be a Muslim, watch the headlines change to a knife attack to a terrorism. I'm saying call it terrorism right now. These channels are going to be in Sky News, GBN News, BBC, okay? We've been to every news channel live on TikTok, and nobody has called it an act of terrorism. Why have they not called it an act of terrorism? I hear, and there are 250 odd people watching, call it an act of terrorism. I don't care who's responsible. He's called Ali Al-Sakati. I can't even pronounce the name. Okay, that's irrelevant. The name is irrelevant. Throw the law. Yeah, throw the law at this person. Lock him up somewhere. Lock him, and don't allow him ever to see the daylight of this world again. You understand? So that's all I'm going to say on this note. Yeah. Yeah, they can't even. Yeah, they can't name him. So it is what it is. Yes, I am saying it's an act of terrorism. I'm saying whoever is responsible, whoever this individual was, whichever race, whichever religion, they are responsible. It's an act of terrorism, and they should be banged up for life, and they should never be allowed back out again. That's what I'm saying. And my only argument is, why have the news channels, okay? Okay, you can stop the live stream.